Hey, Audio Road listener, what is your profit per mile? How about your cost per mile? Or even your bottom line? Stop driving blind and know your numbers. Profit Gauges is absolutely simple bookkeeping specifically for owner-operators. Have instant access to business and tax reports that will help you increase your profits and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Sign up for Profit Gauges today and take advantage of our 30-day free trial. Know your numbers and master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call our Tribe Care Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Thursday, September 19th. We are here live. It is a free-for-all. Phone lines are open. Pick up the phone and join me, 855-950-3835. Anything goes today. You can also hit that call now button if you're listening on the app. That will get you right in here to the studio as well. I'm going to warn you, if you are not interested in hearing me talk about politics or current events or world affairs, you should probably turn off the show today. And you may want to consider not listening to the show between now and the election. I'm not sure what else to talk about anymore. I don't even know where to start on this, but this affects everything we do. It's why I say don't know what else I should be talking about right now, because I can't or don't want to make any big business decisions right now. I don't want to make any big financial decisions. What's going on with health is kind of crazy. What's going on in the world, the news headlines, I've never seen anything quite like it. And a lot of things have happened to me in just the last couple of weeks that make this even, I guess, more real, more powerful. And it's not like we're making this up. This is right in front of us. Much of it is right in front of us. A lot of it isn't. A lot of it I was exposed to last week in Salt Lake City. I talked about that. Last night, Lisa sent me a video. And Ben Tapper was in it. And Ben's been on our show several times. Ben is a small town chiropractor in Nebraska who got up and spoke, I believe it was at a school board meeting or a city council meeting during COVID, with the vaccine mandates and the lockdowns and the masks. And it went viral. And he went from being a small town chiropractor to being named one of the misinformation dozen by the Biden administration. And for whatever reason, in the last couple of weeks, I keep becoming exposed to this group, the Disinformation Dozen. I spent time with several of them in Salt Lake City, got to hear their story and hear things that you don't necessarily see on social media. This video last night, I want to go make sure I have this right, because again, these are people that I respect tremendously. These are people who have been right about many, many controversial things. Now, we can take the Disinformation Dozen. Dr. Mercola's on there. I've been following Dr. Mercola for years. He's one of those people, he's pretty controversial. But I have found that much of what he has brought to the forefront, no matter how crazy it sounds when he first starts talking about it, ends up being true. So many things have ended up being true from this group and others like it. And these groups are growing, but you're not going to find them on the mainstream media. Nobody is interviewing these people. So I watched this video, and it was put on by a guy named Sire G. He founded a portal, a medicine portal called Green Med Info. Now, if you look him up, they're going to claim that it's a website known for promoting various pseudo-scientific publications. He was identified in 2020 as one of the largest promoters of COVID-19 misinformation on social media. That's from Wikipedia. His wife is Kelly Brogan. I've been promoting Kelly's books for years. A Mind of Your Own. Really, really good stuff. If we go back and look at all the things that these people said about COVID-19, that's when they were put on the misinformation dozen. They were completely right. The problem with this whole thing is not who's right or wrong, or who's telling the truth or who's lying. We could argue that kind of stuff all day long. The problem with this is they're using this idea of lying and misinformation and disinformation to censor us. We know that people are being censored. I've been heavily censored. People have been deplatformed. I was deplatformed. People have been debanked. If you say things that they don't like, somehow they get to your bank and you can't get to your money. We have had payment processors cancel us over just selling supplements. We've had our payment processors canceled. Our payment processing system is overly complicated now because we have to have multiple processors because we get deplatformed, debanked from these payment processors. We haven't had our bank do it yet. That's a good thing. So the movie, so we know this has been happening. We know it's wrong. And the problem with this is free speech is free speech. There are very, very few exceptions to free speech. Dangerous hate speech, they've tried to censor, and there might be some constitutional reason for some of those exceptions where you're really putting somebody's life directly in danger because of what you said. Other than that, free speech absolutely includes lying. We are allowed to lie. We just are. That's part of free speech. And the reason it's part of free speech is proving a lie or the truth can sometimes be very difficult. So you can't censor somebody just because you think they're lying. We're allowed to say basically whatever we want to say, whether it's a lie or not. I could say my parents were Martians. No law against that yet. But that's the problem. There are laws happening around us right now. There are examples happening right now. And this is the foundation, the bedrock of a free society. Whether we're a constitutional republic, a democracy, a free society, the bedrock and the foundation is free speech. If they can control what you say, they can control everything. If they can control what we say, there is no way to let anybody else know what's really happening. And this video that I watched last night claims, and again, I haven't had time to fact check this, and I'm not even sure I could fact check some of this. But I'm going to go back to these are people who I've been following for a long time. Many of them have been on my show. I've interviewed them. I've read their books. They've been far more right about everything than they have been wrong. And when they're wrong, they're willing to admit they were just wrong. They made a mistake. They learned new information. We talk about that all the time here. That's different than lying. So according to this video and the documents they have, this is not just the United States. This is much, much bigger. This is the World Health Organization. This is NATO. This is groups that we don't even realize exist. The elites, the deep state, whatever name you want to put on it, that always sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory. But according to this, there are documents that show there are 20 Western countries who have built a framework, a set of instructions, a protocol on how to censor your citizens. That's really scary. And we can see it happening. So that makes it seem a whole lot more real. We know Great Britain has enacted laws about misinformation online, and they have claimed, Great Britain claims that if you here in the United States violate their laws, they will come and take you to Great Britain and prosecute. That's been said. And according to these documents, that's been arranged with the United States government, and they will be able to do that. We see what happened in France with the, I might get some of these stories mixed up. The CEO of Telegram was arrested for not censoring people on his platform. X has been banned in Brazil. There are governments that claim they want to prosecute Elon Musk for allowing free speech on his platform. Now, they don't say it that way. They say they want to prosecute him for allowing misinformation and disinformation. That does not fall under free speech. We are allowed to misinform and disinform all we want. Now, there are some business regulations. You can't lie to people about your product. I can't tell you that we use monk fruit in our product when we really use sucralose. There are laws against that, and there should be. I'm fine with that. That's a business example. We have laws to protect consumers. But when we're talking about public speech, whether it's about the government, the president, the queen, whoever, or whatever, that is the bedrock of a free society. If we lose that, that's the slope where we start to lose everything. And it would be scary enough if it were only the United States, but we're seeing it in lots of Western countries, and it's getting worse. And now there is an example here in the United States, and this is what they're talking about when this video talks about the documents in the 20 countries and how they have created this framework to be able to censor entire populations, and they're all doing it together, 20 Western countries. Now listen to this. This is Gavin Newsom. I am reading this right from Gavin Newsom's post on X. This is not being reported by some blogger. It's not being reported by Fox. This is from Gavin Newsom's post. So I'm going to read it word for word. I don't know how you could claim that this is any kind of disinformation or that I'm misinterpreting this. This is pretty clear. Quote, I just signed a bill to make this illegal in the state of California. And what he's talking about is Gavin Newsom also posted this back on July 28th. And the statement he just made is talking about this. Here's another quote. Manipulating a voice in an ad like this one should be illegal. I'll be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure it is. And the tweet that he was talking about, Elon Musk retweets altered Kamala Harris campaign ad. Now, one of the things they're going to push on this, and it's going to help them get away with it, is they're going to talk a lot about deep fakes and AI. This is the problem with AI, and I've been talking about it from the beginning. I really think it should just disappear, but it's not going to. If the focus is on AI, lots of people are going to get behind these bills and want them enforced. We have to come up with some sort of framework around AI separately from free speech. But they're very smart about this. If they push it as an AI issue, it's going to get a lot of support. But here is the words from the bill. Quote, you can no longer knowingly distribute an ad or other election communications that contain materially deceptive content, including deep fakes. So all materially deceptive content is now illegal in California, including deep fakes, but it's not just AI. I think we need a discussion about AI. We need to figure out how we control AI because that is so deceptive that it's not natural. We can manipulate voices and videos, and that is a scary thing in and of itself because that can be used by both sides, by the government, by other governments. That is a total disaster when it comes to AI. We need to figure out how we're going to protect against that. But I want to read this part of the sentence again. You can no longer knowingly distribute an ad or other election communications that contain materially deceptive content. Two big problems. You don't have to create this stuff. All you have to do is share it or retweet it, or I don't know, maybe even just like it. You can no longer knowingly distribute. That's a pretty wide definition. So this isn't just because you sat down and created the meme. All you have to do is click a couple of buttons on social media, and you are now breaking free speech laws in California. And I'm sure California is also going to say, we don't care if you're in Maine, we're going to come get you. This is a really scary thing. Listen to this. This is what I don't think many people are going to understand. They didn't say you can't distribute an ad that has lies or falsehoods or misstatements. That's different. They said materially deceptive content. Now, let me give you some of the definitions of deceptive. It's very, very different than lying, and it is much wider and broader, and that's why it's so scary. Deception. When we compare deception to a lie, this is a broader term that encompasses any act intended to mislead or give a false impression. Deception can involve omission, leaving out important information to mislead someone. Now, let's think about campaign ads because that's what they're talking about here specifically right now. This is going to apply to everything. You can't write a political ad. You can't even share a political ad if it leaves out important information designed to mislead someone. Well, every ad leaves out important information. It has to. You can't possibly put in all the important information about everything in an ad. What if you're talking about our Second Amendment rights? Well, if you don't list everything that's important about the Second Amendment rights, which could take you hours, that ad is now or could be considered illegal. The omission, that's just one. Here's another one. Exaggeration, stretching the truth to create a false impression. If I happen to say, holy cow, 90% of our clients on profit gauges do far better than the average owner operator. Well, that might be an exaggeration. That might be illegal. Exaggeration will be illegal. Misdirection, steering the conversation or attention away from the truth. Steering the conversation away. Disguise, altering one's appearance or behavior to conceal the truth. Oh, I grew my beard out so it was really long and then I shaved it off. Did I alter my appearance to conceal the truth? Trickery, using cunning plans or devices to fool someone. These are all definitions of deception. The law says materially deceptive content. In essence, they can take almost anything you write or retweet or share or elevate or talk about, and they can now call you a criminal. I don't know what the penalties are for this. I don't know if it's a felony. It doesn't matter. None of the details matter. What matters is we now have a California or a state here in the United States that has basically made free speech illegal. I don't know why this isn't headline news everywhere and why we're not all talking about this. I could talk about this all day, just over what's happened in the last couple of weeks. The people I've been exposed to who now believe this is far, far bigger than United States politics. Now, here's the other thing that they talk about in the video that I watched last night, that this has been a plan and they've been working this plan for decades. What happened to change things was the 2016 election. They thought for sure Hillary would win. They had no doubt Hillary would win. I think at one point she was a 20-1 favorite. And they didn't see Donald Trump coming, and they didn't see Donald Trump winning. And that's why they went after him for 4 years. That's why there's lots of evidence that there were real problems with the 2020 election. And boy, that's a touchy subject. You better be careful how you talk about that. And that's important to understand. When they think something is a touchy subject, you should pay attention. You're not allowed to talk about the 2020 election. You're not allowed to claim that there may have been problems, it was stolen, there was cheating. You can't say that. Laws like this are going to allow them to punish you for saying things like that. He didn't win, they kept him out. He's back again. Look at what is happening to keep him out. The plan got screwed up in 2016, according to this video, and they've had to accelerate all of this. And that's why we're now seeing these things happening. I honestly don't know what I should be doing or talking about between now and the election. And I don't know what's going to happen after the election. Nobody does. I don't see a good way out of this if this is really true and this is really happening. And I don't come on the air and talk about this lightly. I come on the air today to talk about it because I've been overwhelmed with evidence from people that I respect and from people who have been absolutely correct about these kinds of topics in the past. The vaccine issue is huge, and there is overwhelming evidence that they have lied to us for decades about vaccines, and that they have nothing to do with making our population healthy. They have everything to do with money and power and control. And if that's true, and I absolutely believe now it is, there's overwhelming evidence and I've seen it. If that's true, why would this be false? There's a lot of evidence that, yeah, this does seem to be what many of the Western governments are doing. All right, I'm going to get to some phone calls. I know that was kind of a heavy topic to start with. You can totally ignore it if you choose to. We will now talk about whatever you want to talk about. So the opens are mine. And if you don't like my opens when they're political or commentary, they usually don't last more than about 15 or 20 minutes, so you can skip them. And now the show is completely up to you. I'll talk about whatever the callers want to talk about. Pick up the phone and join me, 855-950-3835, or hit that call now button on your app. We're going to go to Oklahoma. Ilya, welcome.
Good morning, Kevin. How's it going?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Well, I was calling about electric trucks, but real quick, right before I called today, literally right before I called, I was listening to, I think, the third or fourth most recent episode of the Joe Rogan show, and it was about, like, I forgot what his name was. This guy was researching, like, how the search engines like Google, what they deliver to, like, basic people using the computer or whatever. And literally one of the lines he said there was, after the 2016 election, where Google was one of the biggest sponsors for Hillary, the Google executives like said in public, I forget where they said it, but they were like, that's never going to happen again. Like right after she lost.
It's interesting
And that's
because
kind of what you were just saying.
this video talked about that specifically last night. And there was a lot. This was a long video with a lot of topics all tied around this idea of control and censorship and how it's a plan and it's not just chaos and anarchy. There's a clear plan of what they're trying to accomplish with this. And they now claim that with AI, not only will Google serve up false search reports, they're not bringing this to the top because it's the most popular. They're bringing this to the top because it's what they want you to see. That claim's been around for a while. Last night, they talked about the fact that with AI, this is now individual. This is down to you. They are going to serve up a result to you to manipulate your thought process. They're using your past searches. You know, all those things that keep popping up on your screen every time you go to a website about cookies? Cookies give websites lots and lots of information. That's what that is. They know a lot about you from these cookies. They know what other sites you've been to. They know what content you're reading. The claim now is Google uses AI to deliver specific results to you as an individual to manipulate your thought process.
That's actually exactly what this episode is about also. I guess this guy, he created a software where people can sign up to give him data like from their personal computers, and he can track what Google serves them, and he can track like what, I think he has like 15,000 users so far already or something like that. And basically they can like collect the data and analyze it and track like how much they deliver to this person versus that person, comparing like the registered voters kind of thing.
You know, if we think about this, and I've been saying this for a while, that this is no longer just political differences. This is no longer just, well, I believe there should be no abortions or very few with very strict exceptions, and somebody on the other side saying, no, it's a woman's body, she gets to choose. Those are political difference. That's a real hot button topic. We're way, way beyond that now. I've said I don't understand how people can support some of the things they're supporting. It doesn't even make sense to me, no matter what your political ideology is. Well, this explains it.
Yep.
Those people are being manipulated and lied to. And if you don't dig deeper than just what's on social media or what Google results are, you start to understand why these people might think the way they think.
Yep, exactly. And by the way, as far as like misinformation and free speech and all that stuff, law enforcement can legally lie to you like during like an interrogation, whatever.
Yeah.
And like they can completely make up stories like they have this evidence against you when they don't, and that's how all those like false like white people admit they did something they didn't do.
Yeah, false confessions. They can tell you if they have two of you involved, oh, your buddy in the next room just told us the whole story. He said you shot the person, you had the gun. It can be a total lie, and we allow that. We allow it in court. That's a good point, because you know, and people will go, oh, well, that's okay because they're criminals and we need to do whatever we can to catch them. Well, you can think that way, but that is a really scary way to think, to give any government agency that kind of control, to allow them to lie and manipulate somebody in order to be able to prosecute them. You might say, well, they're criminals and they don't have any rights. No, they're not criminals yet. That's the point. They're innocent.
A lot of them are in jail. Yeah, a lot of them are innocent. Like they literally kept them there overnight, saying that over and over. eventually the person goes nuts and they're like,
Yeah.
I just want to get out of here. And they think all this evidence is there. They just admit it.
It doesn't matter if you are caught at the scene with the gun in your hand and blood on your face. You are still not guilty. You are innocent at that moment until you can be proven guilty. So we're allowing them to lie and manipulate potentially innocent people. They're not all criminals.
Right. Because, I mean, you never know what happened there until, like, you have all the actual evidence. So.
And we are judged by a jury of our peers. That's our choice. That's always our option. So even the evidence isn't the whole point. There's the evidence, but then there's also the fact that we, in order to be found guilty, we have to be convicted by a jury of our peers. And if we're not, then we're not. Then we're innocent. So, yeah, that's a good example of the government outright lying to us in any way they want, and it's legal for them. But we're not allowed to exaggerate. How do you determine exaggeration in most cases? We're not allowed to omit. That's a big one. It's impossible not to omit. It is completely impossible not to omit when you make statements or ads or how do you not omit? You can't possibly talk about everything that affects every issue in every ad. That's insane to think that. And when they put that in as part of the law, you can't omit. Now they can prosecute you for almost anything you say.
Yep, that's how we get all those long disclaimers at the end of the ads or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But the reason I was actually calling about, I've been talking to a lot of different fleet owners and people that own multiple trucks just to see different ways people finance and buy additional trucks, like to hire drivers and everything. And one guy I spoke to recently, I don't know if you've seen him on LinkedIn. His like tagline on there is that he ordered 50 Tesla semis. I've seen him a couple times on there. So he like started asking me about freight and everything because his authority is only 7 months old and mine, I think I just passed 9 months.
Okay.
So I get into a lot of conversations with these people about freight, and I started asking him about the trucks. And so he put in the deposit for 50 of these trucks, and I guess he's waiting for the delivery or whatever. And I guess he doesn't have a plan to raise how he's going to raise the rest of the money to actually buy them. But I asked him about like, has anyone said anything about like what the power is going to cost, what the tax is going to be, like what that's going to reflect the fuel tax and all that stuff? And he has zero information on that. He's like, the OEM doesn't have any info, the DOT, no one has any info on tax, on the actual cost of the power, nothing.
How about this one? Does anybody know what that truck weighs yet?
No.
I don't think I've seen that anywhere. What does it weigh? That could be a big issue. Well, what is the what?
Yeah, I thought I thought he would have more info as a person that put a $20,000 deposit on 50 of them, and he doesn't have any more info than we have so far.
That's insane. But who would do that? Who would? And first off, the whole problem with this electric truck, as much as I like Elon Musk, and I really do a lot, we are living through history. Elon Musk will be in history books at one point, the way we talk about people like Edison and Rockefeller and lots of other names. He will be talked about for a long, long time in the future. What he's doing right now, I don't think most people realize how extraordinary most of it is. And now he's looked at as like the villain because he actually believes in free speech. Imagine that. Here's something else a lot of people probably don't realize is that free speech was the single most important issue to the Democrats forever. That was their party line. They were all for free speech. I don't understand how that shifted. So when you see traditional Democrats like Elon Musk or RFK now saying, look,
That's
I
why they all
can't.
switched over now.
That's why they switched, because that was their single most important issue, and the Democratic Party just did a 180 on it. They don't care about free speech at all anymore. It's the opposite. They no longer want free speech. They're very clear about that. Kamala has said very clearly she will go after misinformation and disinformation again. They tried once. Remember, they created some new government agency, and the pushback was so big they had to disband it. They're not giving up. They are going after free speech, and it's really scary what's happening.
Yeah, I think misinformation is more of just like information they don't like. It's not a lie. It's not false information. It's just what they don't like, and that's
Right.
it.
But I want people to remember, free speech covers lying. We're allowed to lie all we want. Now, there are times we're not allowed to lie, and there are very specific laws and regulations, and that's fine. Like I said, you can't lie to consumers and tell them there's something in your product that isn't, or something that isn't in your product and it is. I get that. We should have laws like that. You're not allowed to lie under oath in front of Congress or in a court of law. I get that. We should have those laws. We're all fine with those laws. We always have been. We're not fine with these vague. If you misdirect somebody, this could now be a crime. That is horrible, and it will destroy our country.
Yep. Also, too, real quick thing about like freight and brokers. Speaking to all these fleet owners, I've spoken to people that have like 5, 10, 20, 40 trucks. This guy has 50 trucks, and most of them use still load boards. They use DAT. They use truck stop. They just like work off the load board. They have no brokers they work with directly, and they all complain about cheap freight. One guy I spoke to, he has I think just under 40 trucks, and I guess his freight situation is getting so bad he's working away from solo drivers to team just because he can't find solo driver freight. And I'm like, meanwhile, I follow your system, like working with brokers directly. And I have, at this point, I have 9 brokers outside of TQL and TH Robinson and the reps I have there.
Yeah.
I have 9 brokers that all require over a year of authority, and I have 9 months still. And I have more freight than I can handle. So.
Isn't it crazy when you see the truth? There's nothing. It's all pretty basic, simple stuff. I don't know why we fight against these ideas.
Right. And like they all complain like, oh, our drivers get stuck with 10 hours of detention and the freight is all heavy. It's all pallets and cardboard. I'm like, I haven't done that since the first month.
Correct. Right. Leave that stuff for the mega carriers. That's the stuff they need to haul because it works for them. Low margin, lots of problems, time consuming. Stay away from that stuff. But that's the stuff you're going to get if you just randomly scroll the load board.
Yeah. Meanwhile, one of my better brokers, the one warehouse that I picked up at all the time for them, they started taking a little bit longer than usual, and I just let the broker know, and that problem was fixed the next week, and it hasn't happened again.
Unbelievable. No government intervention whatsoever. No new laws, no new regulations. We actually just solved the problem on our own between us and our customer.
Yep.
That's the way it should work.
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the call. All right. I think I scared everybody off with my open. I knew it was going to go one way or the other. I was either going to get blasted with calls about that open or everybody would turn their radio off. I think everybody turned their radio off. Don't be an ostrich. Don't stick your head in the sand. Somebody please call me and tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where this is all bullshit and it's all right-wing media talking points and it's all from a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists. Somebody please call me and prove to me I'm wrong. I would absolutely love it, but I don't think you can. 855-950-3835, or just call and tell me your opinion, or call me and tell me you're never going to listen to my show again if I keep talking about politics and current events. I don't care. Let's go to Oklahoma. Paul, welcome.
Howdy. I'm in Texas now.
I was looking at the board and it says Paul in Oklahoma, Trump. And I almost said, let's go to Oklahoma, Trump, welcome. Paul, welcome. Trump, I don't think Trump's calling my show today.
But so you never know, he might do.
He might.
He could call in anywhere. He could show up anywhere,
Yeah, he's like that would be like the big classic rock bands that used to fill stadiums and now they show up once in a while at a bar to play as a surprise. That would be like Trump calling my show.
Yeah, or on a rooftop.
Yeah.
So if they research my Google history, they're probably gonna come up with trucks, titties, and trucks. So you talking about those the 20 nations or 30 nations or what? I guarantee New Zealand's on there.
Oh, I'm sure.
And a lot of these,
and Australia.
A lot of these politicians, they are students of Klaus Schwab. I nearly said Klaus Trump, but Klaus Schwab. He's a lunatic. Yeah.
Well, the think about this, because again, this is not the United States. This is a larger global agency like the World Health Organization, because they control health and vaccines and lockdowns. We know how powerful that could be after going through COVID. And NATO is a military organization. So now we have 20 countries with their military and NATO talking about this. But let's think about something else. What did Trump do in his first term? He defunded the WHO. He said, we are not paying into this anymore because there are a lot of problems. And then he talked about defunding NATO. And now they're trying to kill him. Yeah, that is not causation. That is clearly correlation that I'm talking about here. But I'd love somebody to call and give me another explanation for all this stuff that's going on.
Did you see what, I think it's Chris Cuomo, the reporter one, the journalist or whatever he calls himself, what he said about Trump?
Did somebody take out his brain and install a new one?
Well, it seemed that way. He said it's his job to talk about Trump and dislike him and everything, but he said what's going on with him is just wrong. And it's like, what the hell did I just hear?
During COVID.
Good on him for saying it, but
absolutely. Yeah. I just wonder what his ulterior motives are. During COVID, nobody was more goofy than he was, and he was so deep into the whole deception of the whole thing. It is shocking now to see him maybe turn the corner. Is it just because?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm suspicious when somebody was such a lunatic about these things, and now he's been turned around. I'd love to think that it's absolutely true, and he now believes this.
Yeah, wait and see. So
yeah, I'm a little suspicious.
I did see. I'll keep it short today, but I did see a snippet from Tucker Carlson with Megyn Kelly, and I totally agree with her when she said about Taylor Swift. Screw you, Taylor Swift, is what her exact words were. So
yeah. No, that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we don't have time to go down today, Paul. But because I asked for calls and now I got a bunch and I only have 15 minutes. So, Philip, we're going to kind of make this the speed round. What's on your mind?
Well, who's going to win the election? And if Donald Trump does win, what on earth are they going to do to this country? Speaking of riots and unrest and trying to prevent him from taking office January 20th.
That's a good question. And that's part of what I keep thinking about is, and here's the other thing to think about. It seems to me like if you ignore the polls, because we know the polls are manipulated, and I talked about this, that Tucker Carlson claims the only true polls are the internal polls that both campaigns run. And we don't see those.
Yes.
And his claim, and he says he has true inside information on this. His claim is in both camps, the polls are showing Trump winning by a landslide. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, and
And-
they're hiding it and they're manipulating it, and we have polls that are manipulating it on purpose, it has to be. You can't make it. Not everybody can make the same mistake. If that's the case, what will they do if? What is the country going to do if Trump loses? When many people now believe that there is no way he could lose in a fair election. There are a lot of people who absolutely believe there's no way he could lose in a fair election. When you look at the polls, it is a dead heat. And that for a lot of reasons, that just doesn't make sense to a lot of people right now.
The Trump supporters are probably not going to go riot because they're too busy working. Although, the January 6th deal, I can't explain that, but the left, they love to protest. So
Well,
hey, I'll let you get to your next call.
Yeah,
Let's just hope it all works out.
I think we're beyond protest this time. Yeah, I don't want to.
I'm afraid.
I am too, but when you say Trump voters won't protest, they're too busy, they're working. I understand that's been the case in the past. We're at a whole different point now. I think there are many people who believe that they did cheat in the. Well, wait a minute. What am I saying? We absolutely know they cheated in the 2020 election. We have proof of it now. We have testimony.
That's why they boosted COVID so hard, was to get Pennsylvania to have all that mail-in voting. They changed all them election laws.
Yeah, well, they changed election laws. Now you could claim that. Well, we change election laws all the time, so but we have absolute proof that they censored stories, that the government pressured social media to censor stories that would have changed the outcome of the election. We now know that as true. Yep. This is the problem with these, that's a conspiracy theory. Except a couple years later, it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. We have absolute proof of it, but it seems to be too late. Nothing ever happens.
The damage that fiasco has caused to our society is unmeasurable. As a truck driver, I left the repair shop the other day, and we're walking on this little hallway, and everybody just looks away from you still to this day. When used to, you would just say, "Hi, how you doing?" as you walk by each other.
Right.
But post-COVID, we was taught to not get close to anybody and look away, or you might get sick. And little things like that has caused massive damage to society.
Yeah,
we can't communicate with each other anymore.
Well, look what we did to our children.
We're all living in our own little bubble. And to the kids, for God's sake.
We set them so far back with lockdowns and all the trans bullshit and everything going on in our schools and the whole woke agenda in our school. We have destroyed our children.
It's a mess. Hey, thank you, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks for the call. All right, about 80% of the calls that were on hold dropped off because they probably figured we weren't going to have enough time. Terrence, it's your turn.
Hey, what's up, Kev? I got a quick question about yogurt. So, when I do it, mine is after I make it, I keep the whey. I don't freeze it. I just leave it in the refrigerator. That's not a problem, right? The whey?
No, you can leave it in there. If something ever happens to it, it will grow mold.
Yeah, okay, because I like when after I put the whey in there, and like after a couple of days, even maybe longer, I never counted, but it starts to grow like yogurt again on top.
Oh yeah, that could happen too.
And then when I go to do my starter thing, I just scoop some. I basically try to use the stuff on top first, not the whey. But
no, that works.
So that's good because
the only reason you'd ever have to get rid of it is that it grows mold.
Okay, as long as I don't, I haven't seen mold yet. I'm still working on the starter, but I got someone I work with. He actually called in too. He wants to start doing the yogurt. I said, well, I'll give you some of my starter, and
that helps
see what
a lot.
happens. Mine's been going strong.
Yeah, because we all know with some of those strains, El Ruderi was probably the worst. Your first couple of batches of El Ruderi were never good, and then your starter got better and better.
Yeah, but Kevin, I told you that when I did mine, for some reason, mine came out. It was edible. Like,
rare.
I strained it and it was
I know that with the El Ruderai, that is really rare. Almost everybody had to go through a batch or two before they got something edible. So when you share your starter, it just helps somebody else.
Cool. All right, man. I'll let someone else get in there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
All right, let's go to Texas. Mark, welcome.
Hey, good morning. Hey, did they give you my coolant sample?
They did. All right. Oh, I just got a message from Aaron. Were you listening on the app, Mark?
Yeah,
Was it working? Aaron said the app stream was down.
it was.
He's wondering if it's my
Well,
internet.
it was working. It was. I started on that, and then I called in.
Okay.
I couldn't find the phone number on the app, but I have it saved to my phone. So
Got it. All right. So, so they didn't find anything in your coolant.
yeah, I know. I saw that, and I was like, yeah, it took a week for them to figure that out.
Yeah, they didn't find anything
I wasn't
at
too
all.
impressed with the. I was. Yeah. So, well, I just shared it because I looked at that and I'm like, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Aaron says we're live on the app, but the call now button is gone. Huh? That's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The call. That's what I'm saying. The button was not there. The phone number wasn't there.
Got it. All right. Hey, well, we're you're the last call anyway because we got flooded. So Morgan shut off the phones, and then everybody thought there wasn't going to be time, so they all hung up. So I actually might be on time.
I just told her I was going to stay on, and so
yeah,
anyway.
we've got time.
What else I was going to talk about?
Nothing to talk about in your sample, but if you want to talk about anything else, we've got time.
Yeah, well, what I was gonna just talk about the gentleman that I don't even know how far back it was, but he was talking about how, he built these relationships with these 9 brokers, and that's kind of similar to what I've done out here with carriers and their brokerage departments, is to build these relationships out here, and it's like, right now I'm empty. I'm coming back from Harlingen back to Houston, so I'm not worried about this being empty because the rates I get on this cover everything. I mean, granted, car hauling's different, but that's kind of why I made that post on Twitter this morning about those iPhones being shipped over. I said I don't think they're worried about in those 747s. They're worried about empty miles with 300,000 iPhones on board.
Yeah.
So, and I just think that these people that complain a lot. Yeah, there's problems out here, but if you take ownership and really understand your rates and your numbers and build relationships, it's easier to work through those problems of getting a rate because, they want to do business with people that they can trust and they feel good about. And if you can build those relationships and, just like one of my customers, we talked last week when I was up in Grapevine, but we didn't have a lot of time. So next time he comes to town, I'm going to take him and another person that works in the Houston area. I'm just going to take them out to dinner, and that way we can all visit.
Yeah.
And he said he'd let me know when he gets back. And it's things like that you just go out of your way to get to know these people and just give customer service. Let them know. They want to track you, let them track you. Who gives a shit? That's they're tracking iPhones now. They've been tracking cars from factory to dealership now, and that's just the way it is. And because dealers and customers, they sell these cars before the cars are sold, sometimes right after they're made, and the customer wants the car, so they want to know where it's at.
There's more. There's more to this than people realize. If you don't want to be tracked, you should get rid of all of your modern devices because many of them are tracking you, including your car, all the time. I read and watch a lot of true crime. This is common now. They will take and get into the ECMs on your vehicles and prove that you were close enough to the crime scene that you could have committed it. That is now a piece of evidence that is used on a pretty regular basis is location data from your vehicle.
I'm to the point now where the gentleman that used to own, his name's Eric Prince. He developed a cell phone technology in a cell phone called Unplugged, and they guarantee you there's no tracking on it. They've eliminated the tracking. They rewrote the whole operating system.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's about $1,000, but if you go to unplugged.com, I believe is the website.
Yeah.
And,
Well, we're going to see more of that, because once you become a target of this government, all of those things make you vulnerable now. That they have so much information on us, from devices, from social media, from our vehicles even. And now people are starting to realize, look, that they are using this evidence against us.
Well, so one thing at that conference I went to, the company Doran that does the tire pressure monitoring system, they also have a box and device you can put on your vehicle that's kind of hidden, that if your vehicle gets stolen, it's got GPS tracking. And it's like, there was a gentleman there that owns a fleet of 80 trucks, and he was able to track his vehicle as soon as it was stolen to go around the corner, and they recovered it immediately. It saved him probably $1 million.
You know, this technology has been around for a long time on vehicles. The big company for a while that you could buy yourself and install it for things like this, I think it's called LoJack, was big for a long time. You hide a receiver somewhere in the vehicle, and then if it gets stolen, they track it. You know what industry has used this for a long time now? These buy here, pay here used car lots. Because they're financing people with really bad credit. All of those vehicles sold out of those lots have trackers on them. You miss your payment, they know exactly where it is to come and repossess it now.
They just come get it and resell it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's a good business model if you want to make a lot of money. Is to get these old cars, salvage cars. And I've hauled enough of them when I started out that they pay in cash. They rebuild these cars and sell them to certain people that can't get financing. And it's like they all come out there with a stack of 100s and pay you with.
Yep.
I mean, it's strictly cash business, even in the shipping end of it.
Yeah.
So
crazy
stuff.
And
needs a business to get into, buy salvage vehicles and sell them to the poor people. That's what they do.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt
So,
that there's. It's insane how much money we make off of poor people.
Yeah. And the people doing this to the poor people are their own people. They know they're poor, so they've developed a way, and they just sell them back to their community. They're not selling it they're selling it back to the Nigerians, sell to the Nigerians, the Russians sell to the Russians. It goes back to their community.
Yeah.
So, but they make tons of money. You know, just the insurance auction cars. So
I agree.
There's ways to make money out there. There's a lot of ways to make money. If this ever went away here, I could go get a 4-car hauler and go pick up repos and things like that. In ops, I mean, they pay well on that. People don't want to mess with them, but you know, the things that people don't want to mess with, it's like because they're lazy, you can end up making a lot of money off of.
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean,
I've
talked about this in factoring for years. That factoring in prior to there being so much competition in factoring was a license to print money, and that's the reason the market got flooded with companies who do factoring. And this is how a free market works. You can write all the regulations you want about certain interest rates, and they got around it. Factoring doesn't call it an interest rate. So they're allowed to charge 600% interest if they want. You can't do that on a credit card, but that's how business will always find a way around regulation. Then it became so profitable that the market gets flooded with companies, and that solves the problem. I saw there's a company I follow on social media. Their factoring rates are down to 1.5%. That's what competition does. That's the beauty of a free market. It will fix itself.
Yeah, I've never factored anything, believe it or not. And I just
All right.
haven't had a need to.
All right,
But,
Mark, if you're
yeah,
going to make
but
any
my
final statements, you have 20 seconds because I'm going to be on time today.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to say one thing about factoring. My graduate level accounting professor, he said, and this was way back before I ever got into the owning business, that a credit card is technically a factoring company. I remember that.
Yeah, it is, and we can compare the rate, and it's usually better. All right, got to go.
Yeah.
I am going to be right on time, right down to the second today. There we are. What do you think, guys?
You're late. According to my clock, you're an hour late.
I was right to the absolute second on that one.
Out of the hallway where he was replacing fluorescent lights with one of those LED lights.
LEDs.
I had to pry him out of the office to get him to sit down and do this show. So don't listen to him.
Well,
he's the one over here sweating and huffing and puffing.
Well, I since I started today on conspiracy theories, I'll just let you know that all those LED devices are really surveillance devices.
Oh, good. I needed somebody watching.
Yeah, I know. All the stuff I do, nobody appreciates it. Finally,
somebody's going to watch me. Finally, somebody's paying attention to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm digging it.
That's right. All right.
So how you doing, Kev?
It's interesting. I've just had a couple of interesting weeks, and I've been talking about them. It's some of the stuff's kind of out there, but it's an interesting world we live in today. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, you know the Chinese curse.
No, well, maybe I do. Maybe I don't. What
May
is
you live in interesting times.
How?
Yeah, that's not a blessing. That's a curse.
That's a curse. We are definitely in interesting times. I can just say that.
There you go.
Very interesting stuff.
At least you're not bored.
Right. Well, there's that.
I am definitely not bored. That is a good way of looking at things. Every day I wake up and think, what the hell's going to happen?
And
today?
how's your lady friend?
She is wonderful. She's the only reason I'm sane.
Yeah.
She keeps me.
Well, you know, we've talked about my dog, right?
Oh boy.
And how he succeeded in breaking my leg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now Dottie got a chance to walk the dog and have him trip her.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. She came out of it better than I did. She's got a scratch on her head and sprained her wrist. But now neither one of us are qualified to walk the dog.
Right.
So what I'm doing now is I'm just opening the gate and let him walk himself.
It's so funny. I was just about to say, this dog sounds like he's smart enough. You just let it walk itself. I think that's the whole point.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Whether he comes back or not, it's his business.
That's right. If you love something, set it free, right?
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Right.
Shooting BB guns at him as he's running away is not encouraged, though.
How about a positive statement to end my show today?
Okay. I'm positive that I don't like that damn dog.
There you go. No, I had a guest on yesterday, and he's been on before. He's a great guy, David Stelzer. He started a company. Let me ask you if you've ever heard of this company, Azure Standard.
Never heard of it.
I didn't think so. Yesterday, I told him, and I've known him for a long time. They're actually not far away from me here. Their headquarters are just down the road, so I've been down there. I've visited with them. We've shot some videos together. Great guy. They have a great story. Azure Standard is the largest distributor of organic food in the country, and nobody knows who they are. The way it works is you pay a membership fee, kind of like belonging to Costco, and then you can buy from their warehouses and their catalog, and they have over 10,000 products, and they distribute all over the country. Now, the way you do it is they have drop points. Like it might be a little health food store that you go online, you order from Azure Standard, and in 3 days you go pick it up at this drop point. So they have a lot of drivers.
Mhm.
We have them on the show because of the health reasons and the driver reasons. We help them find drivers, and it's a great job for truck drivers. You spend a lot of time out in the country away from traffic. You go to these cool little health food stores where people are waiting and they're happy to see you. How many receivers are actually happy to see you when you back into the dock? Most of them should be, but they don't seem to be. These people are happy you're
They
there
don't
with
seem to be.
their healthy
Yeah.
food. So it would be a great job for somebody. So we talk to them about that. We talk about health. We talk about regenerative farming because their story, I love their story. In 1973, David's father took their farm organic. Yet in 1973, that was almost unheard of. Very rare back then. And there was no market for their food. Stores wouldn't buy it. Distributors wouldn't buy it. It was more expensive and they just weren't selling their food. So David, the son, would have been pretty young back then, just started delivering it to people, taking orders and delivering it to people. This is before the internet too. Then he expanded. He was delivering all the way up into like Seattle and Portland from out in Central Oregon, and his routes kept getting bigger, and he was doing the farming and the delivering. And then people like out in Yakima in the middle of Washington would say, "Oh boy, you were just in Seattle and there's this company up there that makes this stuff and I can't get their products." And David started picking up other people's products and delivering them to his customers. And that's how they started adding other companies and other farms and other foods and products. And they go from that, David farming and delivering stuff in a pickup truck, to now they're the largest distributor of organic food in the country. I love that story. And David's still heavily involved every day. But here's the crazy thing he said yesterday. He raised 11 children, and he did it with one doctor visit the entire time he raised those kids. 10 of those kids never went to a doctor. One broke his leg. That's what kicked off the story when you told me about your broken leg. See how I tied that all together?
Got it. Oh, you did real well there.
Yeah. I took the long way around, but we got back there.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I like the long way.
All right.
All right.
What's new and
I
exciting?
suppose we better do a show then.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I'm going to tell everybody it's time to call because I'm going to shut up now. I've been talking all morning. I'll shut up now. It's time to call. This is the vibration and shaking show, right? Isn't it? Isn't that what this is? Or am I confused? Yeah, call.
It's paint and chrome.
Paint and chrome day. That's what it is. All right. Pick up the phone and call 855-950-3835. I tell you to hit that call now button on our app, but for some reason that button disappeared.
Really?
Isn't that weird?
All right.
That's
so
not
I'll
nice.
be telling people to call the phone number.
You got to call the phone number unless Aaron's got it fixed. Let me see if he's. I don't see anything yet. He said the button's just gone. How does that happen? Maybe it was Mossad.
Gremlins.
That could be.
Mossad. So you didn't want to push that button anyway.
That's right. Don't push the button on the app. All right. I better not get started on that. You guys have a call, so you should probably get to work.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin. All right. So this is